All right, welcome everybody. Today is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. And we did have a rate decision, as we all know. Uh, the Federal Reserve, more importantly, Jerome Powell, is kind of playing a little hardball with President Trump at this moment. The past couple of weeks, not that they're, fighting or anything, but I'm sure you've seen the headlines. you know, Trump wanted him to speed things up and start lowering the rates, which he should. But it's causing some turmoil, and I believe, you know, at the beginning of last year, once they started cutting, Jerome Powell explained, the market pretty much priced in 3 or 4 rate cuts for 2025, and right now we're probably only get 1 or 2. Maybe next month, maybe July, who the hell knows? But the biggest thing is at this point, you know, the Fed is getting ready to cut at a more aggressive pace, barring any data going crazy. But at the end of the day, we're waiting for this. We knew it was coming. Yes, they didn't cut today. It's not the end of the world. It would have been a quarter of a basis point anyway. But the point is, it's gonna happen, guys. And as you could see, the market, when JP started to talk, I think it was 2:30 right here. Yeah, we had some crazy volatility, and then at the end of the day, we kind of just pumped. But we were in a range all day, as you could see. Just broke VWAP, went back above, broke VWAP, went back above. So, looking at the daily on SPY, as you can see from last week, I said keep in mind we do have a gap here. And at this point, we're still grinding our way up. But, risk reward wise, you got to be careful chasing longs here. Like I said with Tesla at 290, we got to wait for our A plus setups at the end of the day, or we're not going to have a good win rate. So right now, you see on the daily, while we did have a decent day, we stayed in the range. We have to be a little careful because you see the last 2 days, lower highs and lower lows on the BX for the daily. So that's just something to keep in mind. Yes, the BX does work on the 1 hour. It does work on the 4 hour. But I really wouldn't go any more zoomed in with these settings. These settings are meant for the daily and the weekly. And that's why we're able to, catch market bottoms, if not identical to the bottom, but damn near close. And it's been effective. So, as you know, last week we had our first green flip on SPY, just barely. SPY and QQQ. And now, this week, we're getting continuation. Although price, as you could see, is still in a range right here on the 1 hour. See how we're still in this range? But when I go to the weekly, you see the buying pressure here. And, an example of this being in the opposite for a bear trap was NVIDIA. Perfect example. The last week, I kept saying it, guys. NVIDIA would go down and we'd still get higher lows, higher highs on our daily BX trender for the last 1, 2, 3, 10 days, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The last 10 days. Look at this. And then obviously at the end of today, we had that huge pump on NVIDIA with the export restriction news, which, we saw the unusual flow. We had an idea. I guarantee you somebody knew. They always know. It's a dirty game out there, but that's why we don't chase tops, because then we'll end up bag holding for months, and that's going to cost us opportunities elsewhere, such as HIMS and, Palantir and other things that just ripped from the April lows. So with that being said, same thing, Q and SPY, basically, just staying in our range. Same thing, daily showing a little weakness, but the weekly still intact. So while we could, chop next couple of weeks, it's definitely possible. You don't want to go long, especially after a, what was it, 80, 90 point rally on the S&P and the QQQ. You just got to be wary of that. So let's get into the Magnificent Seven real quick, because dang, just got given work to deal with. Got to dip out. We'll watch the recording. Oh, no worries, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna post it up tonight. I got my YouTube channel set up. Well, the YouTube studio for the insider and everything set up. So we're good to go. So let's begin with the video, as we were just mentioning before. The daily, even the hour, the 2 hour, this thing has just been waiting to rip. I've been saying it all week. Respect this gap. We came down twice, almost filled a little bit of it. I did move this box down a little bit because we filled maybe a couple cents. But we did not fill this whole gap, which is a bullish sign at the end of the day. Because we gapped up, then we just been flagging, and then we got the breakout today over 115, which I've been saying in Insider. We need that 115, this break here, and then we'll be well on our way. Well on our way to where is the question? Well, zooming back out about a year, you see we've been in this range, NVIDIA, for a year now. But the PE multiple just shrunk because they're doing so well. I mean, now the valuation is just getting cheaper and cheaper, even though the stock's in the same place, because the company is just printing. They printed $80 billion last year with basically the same revenue as Tesla, which is just insane, bro. Like, I try to explain this to people, and like, it's just insane. Like, yes, NVIDIA did go up a lot the last couple of years, without a doubt, but this company has real potential to be like a $4, $5, $6 trillion company in the coming years, and Tesla does too. But not many people, a lot of people don't agree, but that's a conversation for another day. But anyway, NVIDIA on the weekly, as we know, last week we had the sneaky flip to green, same as the Qs. We know Microsoft was the first, right? We've been covering this for over a month now. Most of you should be aware, Microsoft was the first Magnificent Seven to flip bullish on the weekly. Okay? The last 2 weeks are now confirming that, and you see the move. You see the move here. Okay? Microsoft was first. Tesla was second, right? NVIDIA is now third. So NVIDIA looking to really make a push. I personally think we're probably going to make a push to like mid 120s, maybe 128, around this area, and then find some chop. But in order to build the next leg, we've got to chop for a little bit anyway, unless there's some real good news with US and China coming out either tomorrow or Friday or next week. But we are not here to guess when a deal is going to be made. We're just watching the price action and managing risk. That's all we can do, is just sit back, manage risk. So NVIDIA, if you haven't bought, I mean, I've been buying, and I bought here, I bought here. Every time we either gap down, I basically added since these higher lows from mid-April. Once we started forming this higher low, I kind of had a really good feeling, even though the BX didn't flip just yet on the weekly. Kind of had a feeling that it was going to happen once we started seeing the higher lows. That was our first sign. As you guys know, higher low is your first sign, which we got in the beginning of April, first week. So, yeah, NVIDIA definitely looking damn good. Looking damn good. I'm up almost 12% on my shares now. It's looking pretty good. Bought here at 98. Then I bought here again at 104 and 105. So it's working out pretty well. Hope you guys are still, understanding everything. If you have questions at all when I speak, just please type them. Like, that's what I'm here for. Ask away. If you're confused, if you don't understand what I'm saying, just, let me know. No problem at all. All right. Let's take a look at Google. All right, so obviously, Google got smacked like a dead fish today. If we look at the 1 hour chart, which is absolutely... Well, I mean, the trend's still intact, I guess you can say, on the 1 hour. Still higher lows, higher highs. But if we come to the daily, I mean, just not good, guys. Not good. I mean, if you're holding Google, you have to respect this low here. You have to respect this low. Because for us to just barely close a lower high yesterday on the daily BX trender here, as you guys could see, just a barely slower, slightly lower, you know. And then today just absolutely flipped to the downside. So this is real sell pressure, guys, on Google. And again, this is a powerhouse company. If you're a long-term holder, you should be happy. Like, you really should. Because if it comes in this range, like I said with Microsoft, I was watching a range on Microsoft and it just filled. If it comes in this range, this is really like life-changing price for Google, in my opinion. Anything under 160 is really life-changing, especially 130, you know. So, with that being said, on the weekly, like I said, Google right now is forming... Last week, we had... The last 2 weeks, we had higher lows. You guys see here, right? And then now, this week, we are forming a lower low again. So what does that tell us? On the weekly time frame, the sellers are stepping back in. But, again, today's Wednesday. We still have 2 more days until the close. But for Google to recover, I'm not sure if it's going to do it. So this is not a good sign on the weekly right now for Google. But again, if you're holding stock, you should be happy. You should be adding more. Don't bitch. Just stick to the process. And that's it. Because at the end of the day, we don't control price. We control buying, selling, and emotional decisions we try to avoid. You know? So, Google, not really looking too hot in the short term. Obviously, they had news that Apple's coming after their, competitive search engine and all that. But to me, Google's a powerhouse regardless. And they have just as much, if not a lot more data than Apple. You like that one, Delarios. That's good, huh? But yeah. So, again, just respect the lows on Google. Be smart. Right now, there is absolutely no reason to be long if we close this week with a lower high, which right now we are at right here, as you could see. So, it's that simple, guys. We stick to the process, take it day by day, week by week, and the profits come. Let's move on to Amazon. Amazon's still on the weekly forming another higher low, which is good. You guys can see since beginning of April, we started to bottom out. Similar pattern to NVIDIA and the Qs a little bit. So, this is a good sign for Amazon. Let's take a look at the daily. Daily has a higher high. This actually looks like it's about to rip. I'm not going to lie. Hold on. Yeah, Amazon looks exactly like NVIDIA did. You guys see this? Look at the 2 hour, right? If I go to NVIDIA, on the 2 hour, it's basically very similar. Like, look at that, guys. Look at that. Look at that. I saw the same pattern on NVIDIA. I was just waiting for the breakout that we got it at the end of the day. But look at this. This same pattern is going to probably set up for Amazon. So keep an eye on that. Taking a look at the daily, like I said before, we have a higher high now. So it's kind of just chopping in this range, similar to the QQQ and the SPY. But again, the important thing is the weekly. We need to close Friday with a higher low. Right now, we're looking good. Actually, the only one not looking good, I think, is Google and Apple. Yeah, speaking of Apple. All right. So, I gave a little bit of a warning, that Apple was starting to look a little top heavy and the selling was starting to come in a little bit. And unfortunately, yeah, we did sweep new lows today down to 193. Yep. So, previous low was 190.11 around here. So, you can use this as a solid risk level if you're trying to long Apple. Me personally, with now the daily BX flipping 3 days in a row, continuous lower lows here, I don't see any reason to be long unless it's intraday, a day trade or something like that. Then, you could play VWAP or something like that. But right now, also the weekly on Google and Apple, both forming lower lows this week. Again, we won't have our answer until Friday at 4 p.m. But right now, just keep an eye on Google and keep an eye on Apple. All right? Apple's getting a little top heavy. So, got to be smart, guys. We got to be smart. And Apple's basically been trading in the same range for a year now. Obviously, had the end of year rip to like 250, 260. And we've just been in a downtrend since. So, Apple's, again, a powerhouse company. If it does make one more low, that would be bad for the market. I'm really not sure at this point what's going to happen. We don't know when a trade deal is going to be done. All I know for sure is that a trade deal will be done. It's just a matter of when. Because there's no way these tariffs are going to stay. Like I said, I have real life experience with tariffs. I work in import-export every day. And I handle freight from China all the time. So I deal with this on a daily basis. This is not going to stay. So, again, we're taking it day by day, week by week, and we're waiting for our signs. And right now, Apple and Google are not giving us signs. Amazon is giving us a sign that it might be in fourth place soon. Well, actually, did Meta flip? Oh, sorry, Mark. I was wrong. Meta is starting to flip grain on the weekly this week. So we could place Meta in fourth place now. That's it. Since the highs in January, February, Meta is the fourth Magnificent Seven to start to flip. Obviously, once again, we don't know for sure until Friday at 4 p.m. So we will wait patiently for that. Hold up. What up, Orion? Top heavy in terms of the buyback? No, not even that. Just really like when you look at Apple on the daily, since last Thursday on Apple, we had, look, higher lows, higher highs, all the way till last Thursday. Then Friday, we gapped down, tried to hold the range, broke lower again, broke lower again, broke lower again. And as you can see on the daily, we're just increasing sell pressure. So that's what I mean by top heavy. Like the sellers are starting to come in. That's the point of this BX trender. It's to show us sell pressure, buy pressure mixed with volume. And the settings I use are specified for daily and weekly time frames. And the 4 hour, you could use the 4 hour too if you really want. The 4 hour even looks even worse on Apple. You could see here. But, if you're swinging, you're looking for lower highs on the daily or on the 4 hour. Shit, you could do it on the 30 minute to 1 hour. That's up to you. But, right now I would just be careful with these names. Apple and Google. All right, so Meta, like I said, it flipped this week. We will get confirmation on Friday. Does have a little gap, about $30 lower. Nothing crazy. Another gap, 511, which can fill, cannot fill. We don't know. But it's also forming a higher high on the daily today after a low yesterday. So that's good. The volume has pretty much dried off across the board. But let's look at Microsoft. So obviously we know Microsoft, if you've been in my stream the last couple of weeks, we know Microsoft was the first, to flip. We had our first sign end of April. Kind of had that crazy jump, 30 points. Then the week after, into earnings, just, another 40 points. Can't make it up. Just absolutely beautiful. And, Microsoft's looking good now. That's how fast things change. That's why we have to take this week by week and be on top of the shit, because if you guys don't treat this like a business, you're not going to be successful. At the end of the day, you have to respect risk. You have to treat it like it's your own business. And, ego is really a killer. It's just you versus yourself. And that's why I'm here, to help you, have that little discipline in the back of your head, just to sit back. So, yeah, Microsoft looking good on the weekly. Looking very good on the weekly, I should say. Daily starting to form lower high. So I would not chase Microsoft at this time. Just be careful. There's a gap all the way down to 398-ish area. So just keep that in mind. That's a good 40, 45 points lower. So you don't want to go long here risking, this is, you have downside potential of 30, 40 points. You just got to keep it tight. You can't be stupid, guys. All right, let's look at Tesla, which continues to just absolutely blow my mind, the fact that this thing is holding up. First, we held up multiple times throughout the crashes. Yeah, it's just insane, dude. But the thing is, with this stock in particular, when it is in a range like this historically, it's a good thing, Like here, it was in a range for 3 months here, broke out, then grinded in a range for a month, broke out, came back down. Now it's just in another range. But in my opinion, I really don't see it going much lower. I mean, I publicly called the bottom around middle of March here, because I started to see the buyers coming in. And then the last 2 weeks, obviously, we have our flip on the weekly. So I'm sticking to my system. I'm holding my shares. I sold most of my shares between 330 and 440, 450. So I pretty much dumped all of it at the end of the year, paid my taxes, gave whatever to the IRS, and now I'm buying back in. I think my average is like 293, 280 something, whatever. But my point is, I started buying around 310. I bought some at 280. I bought some at 240, 250. And yeah, it's in a brutal range though. Like today, I really, really thought it was gonna break Chazi. Like I was watching it today, and if you look, I really thought it was coming down. Like right here, it literally came right here. Just barely it just barely survived. So it's crazy though. But yeah, we just got to keep this in mind, because this is a brutal range, and if it does break lower, you can allow another 10, 15 points lower. Just know this stock has a lot of support, and I would be careful shorting it into the coming months, because this is a hype stock at the end of the day. And when you have the buying pressure starting to come in and the wind's behind your back, you don't want to be in front of this train. You've seen it before. And while it does give back most of the moves, it does do that. And if you go back, to 2012, 2013, this is how Tesla was moving back then. Pretty much the same range, chopping. Looks like it's going to fall into the abyss, and then it just rips. Right here's a perfect example. Back in 2018, yeah. This goes back to 2013 here. So it's always traded the same. It always looks like it's going to die, and then it just squeezes. It literally happens twice, 3 times a year. You just got to know the cycles. You got to know the risk. You got to know when to average in. So, like I said, just be careful if you're shorting this name. This is a hype stock, a momentum stock. And right now, on a longer time frame, we're getting the indication that the buyers are coming. For Tesla, for Microsoft, right? Even the Qs, The Qs are starting to flip. This is all what we waited for the last 3 months. This is why we did not overtrade. This is why we just sat back. And I told everybody, we're going to catch these lows. We may not bottom tick them, but we're going to get damn close. And, you know, did I bottom tick NVIDIA? No. Did I bottom tick Tesla? Not even close. Like I said, my average is in the 290s. But at the end of the day, you know, nobody's perfect. Nobody's a robot. We're not AI. What we can do is manage risk, average in, and be smart, you know. So if you're considering, you know, 6-month calls or anything like that on any of the Magnificent Seven, Zach, I know you're a robot, bro. You're like a professional MMA fighter. But yeah, like I said, if you guys are like, I know you guys like, a lot of you like calls. So if you're looking at realistically, you know, 3 to 6 month calls, just please wait for the weekly. Wait for an example like Microsoft, like we saw, where the wind is behind your back, you know, or HIMS. Like we said, 2 weeks, I literally didn't take this trade, and I'm sick to my stomach because my brother did, and I didn't. But we saw the lower high here around the 28s, and I did call it out. And I literally called it out to everybody at like $28. I was like, bro, this thing is making a higher low, like a significant higher low. And then what do you know, the next week, all the way up like a fucking rocket. I mean, look at this thing. Absolutely insane. So if you did listen to me, I didn't take the trade. I just gave it as an idea, like a 2 to 5 week swing. I mean, congratulations. Like, real shit. Like, you're up at least 30, 40, 70% if you're lucky, if you got in really low. So, yeah, HIMS, absolutely parabolic right now. Like, I've been watching this gap on HIMS to see if I could enter. Tapped it. Kind of like NVIDIA. Didn't fill it and just ripping. So, HIMS, absolutely insane. Obviously, it's going to target these highs at some point. Maybe it chops, builds a base. We don't know. We're going to take it week by week. Like I said, like we do with anything. So, you guys have any specific questions, any names you want me to look at? Anything at all? Because I pretty much covered the Mag 7. Good call. I sold for 120. Damn, bro. Damn. I gotta start like a challenge. Damn. Good shit, guys. Now, you should either have a separate long-term account or something where you could take some of those profits and throw them into a name like NVIDIA, Tesla, Google, Berkshire B, which, again, I didn't cover Berkshire B today, but I'll do that real quick. So, obviously, Warren Buffett retiring. I don't know how that's not priced in. I mean, the guy is older than, you know, I don't know, older than anything. Made $30K, bro. You better buy a Tesla. Nah, just kidding. Put that in Tesla stock. It'll be over 100 by next year. But yeah, like I said, guys, everything's starting to look good, but we just have to be careful chasing longs on some of these names, like Microsoft, which again looks good, but you have to allow room for these gaps to fill. So instead of rushing to buy, you wait for the setup to come to you. You know, this way you're not chasing, you don't have bad risk. Hood looks good. Let's take a look at Hood. Robinhood, another one on the come up. I used to shit on this company for years, and they really turned it around. I remember it was trading in this range for 2 years, bro. And then it finally broke out. Just an absolute ripper on Robinhood. But yeah, obviously we had the pullback, which was healthy, and it's needed. And now, this week, we have our first flip on Robinhood. So yeah, you see it does look good. It's flipping green. Hopefully Friday it holds up the rest of the week and we can close and confirm that, that would be really cool. Over the next coming months, yeah, definitely keep an eye on Robinhood as well. You know. Any other specific names, guys? Anything in particular you wanted me to cover? Let me know. Quick T. Let's take a look at that. All right. AT&T. Wow, it's been ripping since 15, huh? $13. I remember. Wow. I haven't been watching T. Well, let's see what you guys think. Chazi, what do you think about this chart? I want to see what you what would you think here from a weekly perspective and a daily? I want to see what you answer this. Daily, looking great. You have these recent highs here at 28.15, 28.70 around. So you got to target some of these highs. Yeah, Delarios, look at the weekly. It's getting close. Could be next week. Could be a couple weeks from now. You know, we don't know. But if you're in this stock, just keep an eye. That's all. Just keep an eye on this. Because you see it. The proof's in the pudding. The last time it flipped was here, $22. It gapped up. Never looked back. Never even filled this gap from January. So, you know, this is just another example. Patience in the market. You do your homework. You study. Put in the work every day. You really, check the Magnificent Seven every day, every week. Write down, keep track of what has the momentum right now, what doesn't. And it's going to change everything that you do. It's going to change your decisions. It's going to change your discipline. And it's going to make you a better trader and investor at the end of the day. We're all here to, grow wealth, learn a skill, make money, and learn how to risk management. So, yeah, basically, I'll do a quick recap. Wow, we got 12 in here. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. All right. Quick recap. NVIDIA looking absolutely spectacular. We called out the bullish flow today, and obviously at the end of the day we had the breakout. Just absolutely beautiful. Amazon looks exactly the same on the 1 hour. Expect it to break out as well. I'm really expecting it. It's a very similar pattern. Just keep an eye. We got gaps to the downside as well. Google, from a weekly, not looking too hot. We got a lower low. Amazon, looking decent. Hopefully it does flip in the coming weeks, maybe next week or the week after. Yeah, Delarios, I got you, bro. Enjoy your dinner. Apple, not looking too good, as we know. Right now, we need it to close with the higher low by the end of this week, or it's going to be in some trouble. Tesla, looking pretty good. Just need to hold this range, that nail-biting range that we've been in for a while after this leg up. And, yeah. Microsoft, again, looking real good. Meta, just starting to flip. So, with that being said, guys, pretty much covered everything. Any last second questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Wednesday streams, I'm always in, Chief. Yeah, bro, of course. It's not going to be every Thursday. Sometimes I got to do it on Wednesday. Things happen. But the point of this, just, everybody just stay locked in. Really lock in with me, Let's be on top of this shit. And like I said, we will catch these bottoms. That's it. It's that simple. Just got to be safe. Got to be smart. But yeah, with that being said, I appreciate you all coming by. Love you guys as always. We had 12 or 13 people in here, which is honestly really amazing to me. I really appreciate it, guys. It means the world. So I just want to help everybody out, make money, learn a skill, learn how to use risk management to maximize profits, minimize losses. At the end of the day, You're not. There's no good trader in the world that doesn't know how to lose. You know, you have to be a good loser. You have to, put your ego to the side and just treat it as a business, like I said. So, yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. I really appreciate it. It really means the world to me that there's so many people that actually want to listen to me on a weekly basis now. It just really makes me happy. Of course, bro. I got you guys. Got you guys every single day, every single week. We're on top of this shit. Lock the fuck in. No bullshit. 2025 is our year. And that's it. Yeah, I do look 12. I'm 26, but, I'd rather look younger than look older. I don't want to look like a fucking jerk off. Hey, I'm looking here, But yeah, love you guys. I'll see you later.